This infamous Brutalist monument that was home to 100 priests is now an abandoned hellhole. Is its downfall simple economics? The Scottish people, more than ever, are turning away from religion, and it's just too costly to conserve.
Welcome to St. Peter's Seminary.
I feel more like I'm entering a prison than a priest training camp, where they're trying to keep people out, or keep priests in.
Resembling marching into a downtrodden concentration camp, not a place of worship. As you take the first step beyond the thick trees of the Scottish landscape, the shocking sight of this unwelcoming concrete Goliath is comparable to the iconic Planet of the Apes scene. But this isn't science fiction. This is the story of St. Peter's Seminary.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Oh, damn you! God damn you all to hell!
The plot line begins with a great war and then a great fire. The absolute devastation that ensued from the Second World War saw the engineers of Earth searching for solutions to rebuild the infrastructure of our society at pace. Enter the Brutalist movement. Unlike the classical ornate architecture that was bombed and destroyed by the Nazi regime during the 40s, Brutalism was different. There was huge demand for quick and easy construction, exploiting the simple, solid and functional material of cast concrete. It was a popular choice. I say popular in terms of numbers, but in reality the movement was Marmite. Even today's aesthetics of the Brutalist movement are still heavily debated. Some find it deeply offensive, others love it. Like it or not, function over form has won the modern age, and we have made great strides in technology. It just has lost its oomph.
Look at this place, fabulous, eh? Oh, certainly is fancy.
The building in front of me now, despite its decomposing empty shell of a body, has bags of character. Albeit still grey and still ugly, but dogpool ugly.
I'm not sure what these vast big silos are, but I'm sure the priests didn't have a refinery. Maybe they were making buckfast. Who knows? Sure, buckfast was made by nuns, not priests. What was made by priests? It's got to be one of the strangest building reveals I've ever had. Walking around the corner and seeing this place. It is not what I expected. Even seeing the pictures, it's fucking mental. It just takes your breath away. Not necessarily in a good way.
Believe it or not, in its prime, St. Peter's was strikingly beautiful. A handsome man of a building with a strong jaw. It just didn't age too well. I can have sympathy. A seminary, for those unfamiliar, is essentially just a college for those training to conduct religious ceremonies. Rabbis, ministers, or in this case, Roman Catholic priests.
Now you can see there was a staircase down there that led up there. There's no steps left on it. And then went up there to a second half floor, and then up again.
Although this is a video about the building itself, let's be brutally honest, pun intended, this building has failed because of systematic failing in the Catholic faith and numerous grotesque stories that have been covered up by the Vatican. What is faith without trust? So the fate of the building unquestionably was tied with the demise of the Catholic community in Scotland. Rewind to mid-20th century Britain. Despite a war on Jews taking place in Central Europe, society still very much trusted and revolved around religion. Churchgoers attended devotedly every Sunday, participated in religious events. The priest was a central, respected figure in the community, and Christmas was about Christ and Mass. Not worrying about if Amazon parcels will arrive on time.
Don't you mean happy birthday?
So following a destructive fire in the seminary in 1946, a new St. Peter's Seminary was still very much required to house and specialise in the education of Scotland's latest batch of priests, who would be trained and sent out to the Scottish parishes.
Look at that, that's sinister, eh?
It wasn't until 1953 that architects Gillespie, Kidd and Coia started discussing the plans for a replacement building, and the long-drawn process didn't see the foundations break ground until 1961. With a further 5 years of construction, the building finally opened in 66. I couldn't tell you of anything else significant that happened that year. A short film, a silver medal winner in the Madrid International Film Festival titled Space and Light, was produced and directed by Murray Grigor in 1972, which is very ironic because the building now is consumed by darkness. The film's contents are as disturbing as the building is now, not because of how ugly it is, but shockingly the opposite. Without the film, you'd never believe how stunningly beautiful this modern architecture once was, and the realisation that it has been allowed to get in such a dilapidated state is horrifying. But why was the seminary abandoned and left to ruin? The thing is, St. Peter's was built for a unique use case: training priests, positioned in a remote, rural landscape, surrounded in peaceful, undisturbed nature.
It always feels very, dare I say it for a Catholic place, very Buddha, very Zen.
The ground floor is a huge concrete chapel with a concrete altar. So if the original purpose was ever to meet its end, finding a new use case would be an arduous task. And rather sadly, the use case did meet its end, and the seminary's life was brief. From 1966 to just 87, a mere 2 decades, with 14 years used for tutoring, a rehab clinic operated in the remaining years. In hindsight, suggests this was a fruitless project. It's not as easy to find statistics on religious beliefs of the Scottish people during the seminary's lifetime, but the modern day census provides a clear narrative. In the 2001 Scottish census, which takes place every 10 years, 27% of Scots selected none as their associated religion. Interestingly, the same statistic for England and Wales was 15% in comparison, but the Scottish folk are a tough crowd to please, even for God. That Scottish number rose to 36% a decade later. Then in the most recent census of 2022, this spiked up again to 51%. The majority vote now in favour of no religion. Interestingly, thousands selected Jedi as their assigned religion. It gives a clear indication of both the Scottish humour and how the Scots feel about faith. If the open census results on religion were available from the prior decades, I think you'd see the start of that declining trend, around the time the seminary was actually being planned. People living the hippie life in the 60s and 70s, shaking the establishment rule of government and religion. People are starting to make more informed decisions for themselves. With circa 4,000 man-documented gods, which one would you follow, without blind conviction to a faith because your parents before you said it was the right one, as their parents did before them? For most, and certainly for Scotland, it's a free world. You are welcome to believe in any god or divine entity without structure of organised religion. And of course, believe in no god at all. And that is what is happening in modern day Scotland.
You say, there's a God. I say, can you prove that? You say no. I say, I don't believe you then. You believe in one God, I assume, but there are about 3,000 to choose from. You deny one less God than I do. You don't believe in 2,999 gods, and I don't believe in just one more.
Lots of recesses. Sort of mini classrooms. Oh, look, and that's where the silo is. It just appeared to me. So yeah, just for bringing in light. Nice view from up here actually. So, mystery solved. Looks up to the sky, would have been windows, it's just a skylight basically. Very impressive skylight. But a skylight all the same. Very big structure for a skylight. A lot of engineering behind that.
Religion is a double-edged sword. For many it provides hope to seek inner peace. But on the flip side, it causes significant divide. Throughout the world with too much hypocrisy and corruption, look at the wealth in the Vatican which could be used to help the poor. Look at the systematic cover-up of child abuse time and time again, or old-fashioned teachings on sexuality, contraception, abortion. And it's impossible not to link religion to terrorism and worldwide war. What did I say before? What is faith without trust? With more public information available about the Catholic Church's own sins, it's no surprise that less men want to be priests, and more people would rather have a hangover on a Sunday morning than see the men who do.
Well, I hate going.
Homer, they can hear you inside.
Relax. Those pious morons are too busy talking to their phony baloney god.
So the simple economics of it, religion is just like corporate business, and the Catholic Church is in danger of going the same way as Blockbuster Video. You can't operate a business without customers, and the Catholic Church is no different. Shutting up shop in Scotland, reduced congregations, empty ceremonies, converting churches into residential homes, bars and restaurants, and closing down the Key Priest College. Neither God or religion saved this building. The gold stayed in the Vatican.
Stealing is just something you don't do.
Right, except you.
What are you talking about?
The money from that Lourdes thing.
Different thing altogether, Dougal. First of all, that money was just resting in my account before I moved it on.
It was resting for a long time, Ted.
%1,000,000%. That's confession box. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. What do you think? Oh, it's got to be. Oh shit. Take that back, it was a toilet. That would have been for a sink, I'm sure.
Of course, a building doesn't have to be tied to its original use case. It could live on without religion, as many renovations reinvent themselves with new functionality. But due to its architectural significance, it gained A-listed protected status somewhat late in 1992, with 5 years of abandonment already under its belt. The saying, better late than never, doesn't quite cut it. Having that A-listing may stabilise the decay, but on the other hand, it creates a significantly more challenging and expensive renovation project, with the establishment dictating every nail on the shopping list.
Spider-Man I am not.
Which seems absurd, given there is little left to salvage. Make it easier to resurrect life for any prospective buyers.
Parkour! Parkour!
This is Parkour, internet sensation of 2004, and it was in one of the Bond films. It's pretty impressive. The goal is to get from point A to point B as creatively as possible, so technically they are doing parkour as long as point A is delusion and point B is the hospital.
I'm getting haunted by them. I'm ready for it. Yay!
Sorry, I'm just interested.
Yeah,
do you mind if I have a little look?
Yeah, feel free, feel free. Oh man, it's not often an artist gets their work looked at when they're not famous. So.
Oh, well, I love it. It's your own thing, isn't it?
Look at that, with a spiral staircase. Not expecting that. I mean, you do think everything's very square here, but there is definitely wee bits of circular action going on. It starts off as a semicircle.
A further 3 decades of decline has passed and the building has fallen into deep disrepair. It's reported to cost around £60,000 for the Archdiocese of Glasgow just to maintain it. So they've gifted it, a gifted curse perhaps, to the Kilmahue Education Trust, which now becomes its new guardian. Which the cost to renovate itself would be substantial. Residential property developers, a community centre, hotel complex. But they've all parted with a no thanks. The closest the building got to new life was through an arts organisation who spent millions putting on a light show. But like anything else, it wasn't sustainable.
I guess there was probably some form of stage. Yeah. Too small for a church, I guess. But it certainly feels like we've held some sort of seminars here. St. Peter's Seminary, of course. You would sat there or stood there, and at the side too, and there would be a wee mini stage here, and then the same on the other side, I guess. And making sense now, isn't it? The first room where we can really see what's happening. So you'd have some people standing here, bigger group up there, and here you would have had your main priest or your tutor or your teacher teaching the priests what to do.
The remote location, despite its beauty, significantly reduces the appeal of residential and commercial projects. I could see it as a yoga resort or a health spa, but who has the multi-million-pound budget to make that happen? It's almost impossible to dream up a viable business plan. It's simply easier and more economical to build on empty land without the overheads and complexity of listed building regulations. The structure remains a developer's nightmare, an inaccessible, dangerous, graffiti-covered ruin riddled with problems as nature has well and truly begun the process of reclaiming the land. It really should be a problem for the government to address, but, well, the Scottish have less faith in the leadership of our country than they do in religion. What it needs is a brave billionaire looking for a plaything. More money than sense to rebuild this historic landmark with significant cultural heritage. Build it as a stately home or a tourist attraction instead of buying yet another yacht. I promise, if I'm ever a billionaire, I'll buy it without hesitation. Should I start a GoFundMe?
You know it's time to quit in Scotland when the flipping midges start coming for you. Oh, that's it, game over. Oh, this is where we got to. Then the midges are there. I think we're going to call that a day. You'll have to pray for that bicycle.